Androcles and the Lion. In ancient Rome, there was a young man whose name was Androcles, and yet people around him told him that he was not a man. He was just a slave. He was a thing. He could be bought and sold. He had nothing. But Androcles knew they were wrong, because deep inside himself he had something that they didn't know. He had rebellion. He had freedom. And one night, after he could not stand it any longer, he killed his master and escaped deep into the forest where no people would dare go because there were so many wild animals and it was so dangerous. But he preferred that, living freely, than being a slave. However, he did not know anything about the forest. He didn't know what plants were edible. He didn't know how to hunt. He didn't know how to catch animals. And he lived in a cave. And pretty soon he started going very hungry, even hungrier than when he had been enslaved back in the city. And he knew that soon he was about to die, but he was not going to go back. Better to die free than to live a slave. One day, as he got up, he was quite weak. He went down to the river to drink water, when suddenly he heard, "Roar!" It was a lion. A great, terrible, huge lion. And Androcles tried to run, but he was too weak to run fast. But then he realized that the lion wasn't chasing after him. And he turned back and saw the lion holding out his paw. Roar! Roar! Now the paw was swollen twice as big as the other paw, and he saw that there seemed to be something stuck in it. "Oh," said Androcles. "Poor thing. I know what that feels like." Well, he didn't have that much to lose. He was going to die anyway, and might as well go out epically instead of just starving to death in a cave, and so he bravely started going closer to the lion. The lion roared again, but made no move to attack. He couldn't. His paw was hurting too much. "All right now," said Androcles. "I'm going to help you, so don't eat me." And he came in carefully, and the lion seemed to understand what he was trying to do. And the lion, even though he roared, didn't attack. Androcles picked up the paw, and the lion went, "Roar! Oh, you big baby, it's just a splinter. Yes, it's infected, but we can take care of that." Now it took a little while, but Androcles, with his hands, was able to pull the thorn right out of the lion's paw. "Roar!" said the lion again. "Oh, big, stop it. It's just a splinter. I've had worse than that. Here." And he tore off part of his shirt and bandaged the lion's paw. "There you go. It'll get better in a little while. In fact, I saw some plants that could help you. I'll change your bandage tomorrow." Well, the lion carefully limped after Androcles, and the Androcles looked back and saw, well, looks like I have a pet lion now. The lion went and laid down in Androcles' cave, and Androcles was kind of upset about that, because now there wasn't that much room for him, but he made a fire again, and the lion almost seemed to purr as he warmed up in the cold, during the cold night. Androcles changed the lion's bandage, and in not very long, the lion's paw had stopped swelling and gone back down to the normal size, and pretty soon he could walk again. And one day, the lion got up and left. Androcles was surprised to find himself feeling sad. He'd gotten used to the lion, actually. It was kind of nice to have the lion hanging around and not feel so lonely, you know. Well, he'd also managed to trap a few rabbits and things that he would share with the lion, but still, they were both going pretty hungry and pretty skinny, and he knew that the lion had to go out and hunt, and he'd probably never see it again. Well, sadly, Androcles went out, looked for his traps, empty, went back to his cave. He was very weak now. He would surely die. And he lay down next to the fire, thinking he would go to sleep when "Roar!" He jumped. The lion was back, and the lion, in its mouth, was dragging an entire deer. "You hunted," said Androcles. "Oh, we're going to feast tonight." And he skinned that deer and he cooked it. He ate that deer, and he gave some of it to the lion, who did not like the cooked stuff. He would just eat it raw. And from then on, Androcles let the lion do the hunting. And pretty soon, they both started getting fat. Well, Androcles was living quite well now, but he was missing some things from the city, things like salt and seeing people again, having someone to talk to, and finally, it had been 3 years since he had run away. Surely nobody remembered him. Maybe he could sneak into the city, get some things that he wanted, some new clothes perhaps, and then go back to the cave. "Well, I'll see you soon, lion," he said. "Wish me luck." And so he snuck out of the forest and followed the pathway. But what do you know? He was so happy at being close to the city again, at thinking that he was going to encounter people, that he was going to get some things that he needed, that he wasn't paying as much attention as he should. And some Roman soldiers came upon him, and seeing a man dressed in rags, with a long beard, unkempt, who had obviously been living in the forest for a long time, instantly they knew that this was a runaway slave. And they jumped on him, and they tackled him, and they tied him up, and they put him on their horses, and they dragged him into the city. And once again, Androcles was captured. But he was a runaway slave. Not only that, he had killed his master, and therefore there would be no forgiveness for him. Instead, he was condemned to death in the most horrific way possible at the Colosseum, to be torn to pieces by the gladiators and the wild beasts. Well, Androcles held his head up high. He would die, yes, but he would go down fighting. He was kept there for several weeks with other escaped slaves and with other prisoners who were also going to be sacrificed. And finally, after about 3 weeks had passed, it was his turn. The doors flew open, and he could hear the cheering of the bloodthirsty crowds and the Roman emperor himself in the seat of honor, and Androcles was thrust forward into the arena with the sun shining right in his eyes, and he walked forward, and there, on the other side, the doors opened as well, and the most ferocious, humongous beast raced out, ran straight towards Androcles, jumped on him, and licked his face. It was the lion. It was his lion. Androcles rolled around, crying joyfully, "Oh, my friend, when did they catch you? They caught you too? Oh, I can't believe it!" And hugging him, and the lion was licking him, and they played, and the people watching in the stands thought, "Who is this? That wild lions will play with him, that he has power even over wild lions. He must be a god. We've tried to kill a god. Oh, please forgive us, God, forgive us." And even the emperor of Rome stood up and bowed to Androcles. Well, Androcles stood straight and tall and put his hand on the lion and said, "Yeah, I am a god, and so is he, and from now on, you leave us alone." People threw flowers on the lion, people threw kisses at Androcles, and Androcles walked out of the city with the lion beside him.